On June 18, 1978, 18-year-old Stephen Mark Hicks was standing by the roadside trying to get a ride on his way to a rock concert at Chippewa Lake Park, Ohio. After a while, a car stopped, and the driver offered him a ride on the condition that they would drink together. Hicks agreed. What began as a casual drink turned dark. As they drank and talked, the driver became uncomfortable when Hicks started discussing girls, knowing his advances would be rejected. Hours later, Hicks wanted to leave, but the driver wasn't ready to let him go. In a sudden fit of anger, the driver hit him with a 10-pound dumbbell from behind. When Hicks fell unconscious, the driver didn't stop. He strangled him to death. Standing over his dead body, the driver explored his twisted desires. The next day, the driver took Hicks's body to his basement, cut it up, and buried the remains in a shallow grave in the backyard. But later, he dug them up, dissolved the flesh in acid, and threw the bones in the woods. The evidence, including Hicks's necklace and the knife, was thrown into the Cuyahoga River, leaving almost no trace. One question remains. Who was the driver? Can you guess his name before I reveal it? It was none other than Jeffrey Dahmer, a name that would later become infamous for unimaginable crimes. At the time, Stephen Hicks had no idea that this simple ride would turn into his worst nightmare. But how does someone like Jeffrey Dahmer become such a ruthless killer? To understand that, we need to go back to his childhood. Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was the first child of Lionel Dahmer, a chemistry student, and Joyce Dahmer, a teletype instructor. Joyce Dahmer was emotionally unstable and often argued with her husband and neighbors. As Dahmer entered first grade, his father's studies kept him away from home most of the time. His mother, who struggled with depression and a fear of illness, demanded constant attention and spent most of her time in bed. This made Dahmer feel very lonely and troubled, as he wasn't receiving love from either parent. In school, he was shy and withdrawn, rarely making friends. The family's frequent moves didn't help either. Then, things changed again. In October 1966, the family moved to Doylestown, Ohio. 2 months after that, on December 27, 1966, Jeffrey Dahmer's mother, Joyce, gave birth to Dahmer's brother, whom they named David. That same year, Dahmer's father graduated but did not spend much time with the family. Instead, he began working as an analytical chemist in Akron. Dahmer always had a fascination with animals, especially dead ones. He used to collect their bones, preserve them, and store them in jars. Over time, this interest deepened into something darker. After living in Doylestown for 2 years, Dahmer's family moved to Bath Township, Ohio, on July 26, 1968. Their new house was surrounded by woods, and Dahmer began collecting insects and small animal skeletons, storing them in jars of formaldehyde in a small hut. As time passed, Dahmer's mind slowly started to deteriorate, and with age, he developed different habits. By the time he was 14, he began drinking alcohol, often sneaking beer and hard liquor during the day. When a classmate asked why he was drinking scotch in history class, he simply replied, "It's my medicine." As he entered puberty, Dahmer realized he was gay, but chose not to share this with his parents. He briefly engaged in a relationship with another teenage boy. Then, his family life took a turn for the worse. By 1977, Dahmer's grades had dropped, and his parents hired a private tutor for Jeffrey Dahmer to improve his studies, but it didn't help much. That same year, they attended counseling in an attempt to save their marriage. However, counseling did not work because Dahmer's father discovered that his wife had an affair. In September 1977, they decided to divorce, telling their sons they wanted to do so amicably. In May 1978, Dahmer graduated from high school. 2 months later, his parents' divorce was finalized on July 24, 1978, with Joyce awarded custody of their younger son and alimony payments. Jeffrey Dahmer, now 18, was left alone in the family home. He stayed alone at home because his mother was with her boyfriend, and his father went away with his girlfriend. As a result, he felt very lonely and became a victim of depression and anxiety. Then came June 18, 1978, the night that changed everything. Dahmer committed his first murder just 3 weeks after his graduation. And 6 weeks after murdering Stephen Hicks, Jeffrey Dahmer's father returned home with his fiancée, only to find his son living alone. Concerned about his future, his father pushed him to do something with his life. In August 1978, Dahmer enrolled at Ohio State University, planning to study business. But his alcohol addiction took over. He barely attended classes, failing most of them except for riflery. His dorm room was littered with empty liquor bottles, and his GPA dropped to a shocking 0.45. Despite his father paying for another semester, Dahmer dropped out after just 3 months in December 1978. With no clear future, he took a drastic step. He joined the U.S. Army in January 1979. He trained as a medical specialist, but his drinking habits followed him. While stationed in West Germany, his performance declined, and by March 1981, the military deemed him unfit for service. He was honorably discharged on March 26, 1981, and with nowhere to go, he chose Miami Beach, hoping for a fresh start. But his past demons caught up with him. He spent most of his earnings on alcohol, got evicted in August 1981, and ended up sleeping on the beach. Realizing he had hit rock bottom, he called his father and returned to Ohio in September 1981. Back home, things only got worse. In September 1981, Dahmer returned to Ohio, but was arrested 2 weeks later for drunk and disorderly conduct. In December, his father sent him to live with his grandmother in West Allis, Wisconsin, hoping she could help him. He found a job as a phlebotomist in early 1982, but was laid off 10 months later. In August 1982, he was arrested for indecent exposure and fined $50. By 1985, he worked at the Milwaukee Ambrosia Chocolate Factory and started visiting gay bars and bathhouses, later drugging his partners in June 1986. In mid-1986, he attempted to dig up a body, but failed. On September 8, 1986, he was arrested for public masturbation and sentenced to 1 year of probation on March 10, 1987. And in between 1987 and 1991, Dahmer committed a series of brutal murders, primarily targeting young men. He lured victims to his apartment, where he drugged, strangled, and dismembered them. He often kept body parts as trophies and engaged in necrophilia and cannibalism. But his killing spree came to a shocking end. On the night of July 22, 1991, at around 11:30 p.m., patrol units from the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Police Department encountered a black male, partially clothed, with a handcuff on one wrist. The man reported that he had been threatened with a knife at an apartment located at 924 North 25th Street, apartment 215, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Officers immediately responded and went to the apartment. There, they arrested Jeffrey L. Dahmer for assault. What they discovered inside the apartment was far more horrifying. The officers found numerous body parts, including decapitated heads, both in the sink and the refrigerator. They also found approximately 10 pairs of hands and other body parts. After the arrest, Dahmer was convicted on January 30, 1992, of 15 murders and was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. He was incarcerated at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin. However, on November 28, 1994, a fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver, attacked Dahmer in the prison gym. Scarver beat Dahmer to death with a metal bar, ending the life of one of America's most notorious serial killers. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more true crime stories. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let us know in the comments what case you'd like us to cover next.